Okay, so something needs to change. Now, I'm sure all of you guys in some form or way have heard about what happened last Tuesday with the shooting at Oxford. Now, the whole point isn't to discuss what happened or what is currently going on. This video is more of a video that I just want to give my opinions on some things because this shooting genuinely affected me and my school because this happened at a high school that is around 40 minutes away from my high school in Michigan. And I just remember that day when that whole tragedy took place. It was almost 2 o'clock and I was driving to my job because I had a 2 o'clock shift, and I overheard them talking on the radio of there being a shooting at a high school. And yeah, it turns out it was that close to me essentially. And I don't remember a time when I was alive when there was a shooting anywhere close to me, like something like a high school shooting or a school shooting. Never in my life did I think that it would have gotten this close, because you always hear of it happening in other states and you're like, oh, well, that was horrible, but I mean, it didn't happen near me, so I can still feel safe when I go to school every day. Now, I just want to get to the point here and say that I want to see these shootings just disappear. I don't want to see any more of this. I don't want to see any more innocent people get killed or hurt or even get things like PTSD from these sort of things. I don't want any of this to happen anymore. And I know a lot of people agree with me and don't want this to happen either. But it just seems like nowadays in our society, the government doesn't really care to take action. And the media that is out there is horrible. The media, in all reality, doesn't give a shit if a school is shot up. Like, they might act like they have sympathy or whatever, but they really only care about the money for the most part. Because the media, they want to see bad things happen. They want bad things to happen so that they can profit off of it, essentially. And it's absolute bullshit. Because it seems like when something like this happens, it seems like really nothing happens to prevent these types of things from happening in the future, essentially. Like, for fuck's sake, my school still lets students carry around backpacks, and they're not clear or nothing. So you could literally stick anything in there and walk into school and do whatever you want. You could have drugs in your bag for who all knows. And also the funny thing about that is that my school gave us lockers, but no, they're not requiring students to use their lockers. They're just letting them, oh, hey, you can either choose to use the locker or you can use your backpack. And most people, including me, use my backpack because it's just easier. And this is just an example of one thing that you could be changing to make sure some of these things like that do not happen, instead of increasing police presence outside the building when these types of events happen somewhere else. Because deadass, my school put police cars outside of the building acting like there were more external threats than internal threats. And as far as I know, there are a whole lot of kids that go to my school. Way more people than just one person, one or two people who wants to come in from the outside and, you know, do some shit. Like, those are easy things we could be changing, but instead we just don't care. We don't investigate and try to find potential issues that could lead to something horrible like this. And then we sit here wondering why half of the school didn't show up that day, and significantly less students are showing up to school every day, at least here in Michigan. Because so many people at my school have been paranoid that stuff's gonna go down at our school because of these things called copycat threats. Now, I already knew this was gonna happen. I already knew people were gonna go out on social media and be like, yo, I'm gonna do this to this, and make threats like that type of stuff towards schools and make everyone scared because they think it's funny, because they feel good about themselves making threats and stuff like that, making hysteria. And that's why you hear of these people getting arrested for making false threats. And let me just remind you, making any threat of any kind is not a good thing to do, and it could land you in jail. So I personally wouldn't suggest it, especially that you're gonna get caught and then they're gonna throw a huge ass terrorism charge at your ass because you decide to make something like this and put it on social media and freak a whole bunch of people out. And I mean, to be honest, I can't remember the last time I was super paranoid about even just being in school. Like, school is supposed to be a place that is safe and a place that you can learn without having these things happen. But yet we got people making threats regardless if they're false or if they're true. We have schools in this state, and just in general, when something happens like this, we have them making the wrong decisions and putting police where we don't need them, which would be outside on the exterior instead of the interior, because the interior, as I said, people are wearing backpacks. They can stick anything in there. They can do whatever. It's not like we have metal detectors. And also the fact that the government doesn't really do anything about it. Like Congress, they ain't doing nothing. And also what I've noticed is that it seems that some parents out there, and this is happening more frequently nowadays compared to maybe around 10 years ago, we have parents who don't watch their children and what they do online, what they're posting, and we have unresponsible parents who are just giving their children guns, which is highly illegal, let me just add that, because if that dad for the shooting didn't give that son son the gun, then we wouldn't be in this whole little mess we got here going on. Like, it just pisses me off with the fact that you can be so unresponsible and give your child something like that, and then they go commit an act with it, and then you're trying to flee this area, trying to get away, when you know you clearly messed up. Like, what were you thinking when you were purchasing this for him and just letting him have this and let him, you know, take this to school and stuff? Like, something like that should be locked up in a safe, and children should not be able to touch it. And I mean, it's pretty ironic how, like, this only happens in the US for the most part. Like, you really don't hear about other countries having, you know, people go up and, you know, do things like this to their schools. Like, it's kind of a rare thing to even hear about. But as far as I know, what is going on right now is not going to prevent anything in the future from happening. It's just going to be a cycle of the same shit happening over and over again. That's why I want something to change. I want somebody to do something. Regardless if it's Congress making something up, making a law up, and agreeing on something, or if we actually decide to watch what our children are doing and make sure, you know, our children don't get things like this and be good parents, or we get rid of backpacks being worn in the schools and shit and everybody be walking around with them. And I know another solution to that would be getting something like a metal detector, but everybody's being like, oh, it's too expensive and shit like that. Well, would you rather that be too expensive, or would you rather have something like this happen again where lives are lost and a lot of people have PTSD and things like that, and a lot of people have to go through therapies and stuff like that? Would you rather have that, or would you rather have to pay for something like a metal detector and have it in the school? Like, it might be a hassle, but it's something that would be really useful in preventing something like this from happening. Now, I also forgot to say how people need to start speaking up for themselves, because this guy was clearly just out here posting things on social media about him wanting to go and do this and just some really concerning things, but no one reported anything. And I don't know why nobody reported nothing. Like, if you see something that looks concerning or looks really odd, you should really report it to the police, or say if you're a kid, report it to your parents. So then the police can investigate everything and make sure nothing weird is happening. And that's another way how things get prevented. Because in almost every shooting like this in the recent years have always had warning signs, especially on social media. So that's another thing we can do. If you see something weird, please report it, no matter where you live or what school you go to. Now, I originally wasn't gonna make a video on this, but it happened so close to me that I felt that I just had to get my opinion out there and get my feelings out there, because there are a lot of people in Michigan schools right now that are really paranoid about something like this happening at their school. And there are literally kids that when you open the door, like somebody knocks on the door and, you know, they get let in, they get scared as hell thinking it's somebody who, you know, might be going to do something like this. And school should be a place for learning and a place where students actually feel safe. And it's just ridiculous, in my opinion, that we're not taking action to really prevent things like this. And until we start changing things up and taking action on these types of things, it's just gonna keep happening over and over and over again. It's literally just a repeat cycle, and it's horrible. But yeah, that's all I gotta say for this video. If you feel offended with this video, make sure you hit the dislike button. If you like this video, make sure you like it. Leave a comment with your opinions, your questions, your thoughts. I'm always open to everybody's opinions down below. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys all stay safe out there. Always be aware of your surroundings. My name is Breone, and I will see you in my next video. Peace.